Japan forced to censor anime as a priority or face consequences. Same shit, different day, bro. Same shit, different day. The censorship brigades that come for anime will not stop. Bro, gatekeep. Motherfucking gatekeep. The Blue Archive drama from last week was an example of how you fucking gatekeep.
So if I wasn't blacklisted already by a bunch of different companies or people never wanting to work with me or speak with me, this video is probably going to cause that. Because I'm about to piss a lot of people off. About to piss off probably major companies on their bad actions and what they are clearly been doing for the last few years. Because there's never been a better example of censorship for anime than One Punch Man Season 3. We need to have a serious conversation about the censorship of this anime and how it's a canary in a coal mine, a warning to things to come if the community does not speak out about this, and that it will eventually sanitize and remove the core essence of what makes anime anime, what makes anime weird. It will be removed if more people don't notice this or speak up about it. And it's not just a character showing...
Here's the dealio. People do notice it, and people do speak up about it. But they're being matched on the opposite side with people who love this, who agree with this, who want this. You've got so like, I'll give you a primo example. I'll give y'all a primo example. Let's go to my X page. I posted this earlier, right? Where is it? Scroll down, scroll on. By the way, guys, I got to follow my libertarian goth. I made it. Yeah, this right here. So. Damn, tourist season already? Gatekeeping matters, kids. Fucking tourists. Why? Well, why would you want Japanese humor replaced with English humor? Why watch Japanese shows if you want English humor? I think you're looking for English media. Outsider indeed. Their response. Because Japan and the West have different kinds of humor, and to be blunt, Japanese humor is really only funny to the Japanese. Full stop. Japanese humor is funny to those of us that watch Japanese and engage with Japanese media because we like the Japanese culture. Imagine saying that, like, oh, British humor is only funny to the British. Really? Then why do things like Doctor Who and Blackadder and Monty Python and the original version of The Office and the IT crowd and whatnot all get big over here? British humor is notably different than American humor, guys. British humor and American humor are very different. But people like British humor. You could be an American, you could be an anime fan, and you can like fucking Japanese humor. So yes, if you don't want Japanese humor in your Japanese fucking cartoons, get the fuck out. You're a goddamn tourist. Their use of puns is worse than a 60s cartoon, and they have an entire genre of comedy revolving around having a guy who explain every joke to the audience. Bokeh Tsukomi. For every funny Japanese comedy, there's about 100 that only they would find funny. Guess what? That's all goddamn comedy. That's all goddamn comedy. Most comedy. Let's just look at Western comedy specifically. Let's look at U.S. comedy specifically. Isn't fucking universal. Look at every single comedy movie of, like, let's just pick a random year. Pick 1994. Alright? You might have 10 great comedies in 1994. I bet you had 100 straight to VHS dog shit comedies that weren't funny in the fucking slightest. Most of the planet doesn't think not saying the appropriate line for a situation is a knee slapper. Bullshit! That is the fundamental core of sitcoms. Not saying the appropriate line for a situation, that is the core comedy of American fucking sitcoms. Shin-chan saying itadakimasu when he comes home from school does not translate in the least, and it's frankly just not funny. Actually, again, if you find Japanese humor funny, then it does. It's a foreign adaptation wants to say something else that's goofy when it comes home to get the same point across. It's fine. The point is, fucking tourist. These people want to see anime change. They want to see anime altered. They want to see anime censored. Fuck these people. And this is the type of people that, yeah, we should push back against. We should talk shit on. We should degrade. We should shame. We should kick them the fuck out of this fan base. Out of this fandom. But there are dumb motherfuckers that support it too. There are dumb motherfuckers that support it too.
a little bit of skin. There's even issues with characters when it comes to just like a seinen series showing blood, a character smoking, needing to be censored with a lollipop. This is a warning sign. These are red flags that are in your face saying if something is not done, this will be the future of anime. This is what you will have to deal with
now,
for the future.
A lot of this, let's go back to this one right here. I'm just guessing, right? I'm just guessing. If I had to wager a guess, this was done for China. China got all these rules against blood and gore, and they got rules against skulls. In China, skulls are considered like a demonic omen, so they can't show skulls. If I had to wager a guess, this was censored so they could sell in China.
Future of One Punch Man, entire character designs and character traits being completely removed to sanitize the series to make it safe for a global audience. And I feel like the One Punch Man situation for season 3 really outlined just how bad of a state censorship is for anime right now. And I'm gonna just dive headfirst into that. And let's just start from the very beginning. The first image I showed.
I got the impression people really like Gintama even more than they understand Japanese. That's why Gintama, aside from, I think, the third movie, never got an English dub. The humor of Gintama is so intrinsically Japanese, it cannot be dubbed into English and it work. And that's why people love Gintama. Because they like the Japanese humor. That is exactly correct.
When you look at this image, you might first realize there is some core differences here. Obviously, one is a manga panel, one's an anime screenshot. But look closely. If you look closely, Tatsumaki is censored here. And if you look very closely, her outfit is deliberately designed to go lower down on her to hide more of her legs. Now, you can chalk this up as maybe a character design inconsistency or whatever, but there is many examples throughout the season with multiple characters where they go out of their way to completely censor the design of female characters showing a little bit too much skin. I mean, these are many examples of Tatsumaki being censored her designs completely and just showing skin. There's nothing explicit about this whatsoever.
And remind you guys, this is happening in Japan. This isn't like, oh, Japanese got the uncensored version, we got the censored version. No. When I say all the time, and I do, that the Japanese are self-censoring to appeal to the global market, this is what I'm talking about. The rot that infested America from 2014 to 2020-ish, like that level of self-censorship rot for mass appeal for political and social reasons, it has infected Japan. We are going to be seeing more of this. I don't know, aside from covering it and talking about it and hopefully trying to get the word out to other individuals like in Japan, I don't know what the answer is. We are seeing the downfall of the creative and artistic freedom of anime in real time.
However, nothing that is just warranted of like, oh, this is like 18 plus adult, whatever. No, there is nothing here that says that. But apparently the character's showing a little bit too much.
Yes, IB, the EB is correct. It's not even a conspiracy theory. He says that, I think this goes back to Alex Karp in the World Economic Forum working to push a standard global behavior. Yes. And the reason that's not a conspiracy theory, that is confirmed. The Japanese governments and Japanese businesses have said as much, that they are receiving millions and millions of investment money from places like BlackRock, like State Street, these DEI investment firms that are, of course, have ties to the World Economic Forum, are heavily investing in Japanese media. Japan has its own DEI investment firms. I've covered them in videos and streams before. And guess what? Those DEI investment firms in Japan, guess who invests in those? The Western investment firms like BlackRock and State Street and shit. Like, the idea to push a global standard is absolutely real. It is happening. It's not a conspiracy theory. Again, Japanese companies have fully acknowledged that's the case.
skin needs to be covered up completely and not shown or shadowed out. And this is something that remains the most consistent aspect of One Punch Man Season 3. And I feel like this really indicates the priorities of not just, let's say, JC staff or the animators, but Bandai Namco and the anime that they get a hold of and work with, and the production committee as a whole. I think that this is a huge issue, that despite all the inconsistencies, the animation errors, the problems, the lack of time and budget, whatever you want to throw on One Punch Man Season 3, the point is that
women wear scantily swimsuits and outfits. The World Economic Forum going to try and force women to cover up massively necks. Seriously asking if the next thing is to arrest women for wearing too little. No. At least not in the short term. I mean, if that stuff were to come about way later down the line, I don't know. But in the short term, they want women doing that sort of thing in real life because the women have been convinced via the sexual revolution, via the rise of feminism, that is empowering. So if women are able to wear whatever they want and not be modest and not be conservative, if they are able to exude their femininity via the sexual nature of the clothes they wear and stuff like that, they are tools of the World Economic Forum. Because remember, the WEF and this global cabal that wants to shift the social standard, it is a hand in many, many pies. So they need as many pawns as they can. So they can use the feminist social movement that's got a pro-sexual liberation ideology to it, because it's where the intersectionality comes in. These sorts of feminists will agree with Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter will agree with the people who are anti-Israel and pro-Palestine stuff. So when you've got all this intersectionality going on, you need to lay off certain aspects. So you can censor the women in media, and you can try and make a global standard for the female form being censored in video games and movies and comics and whatnot, while letting the women in real life be part of the sexual revolution and whatnot. That way, it can still further their agenda for all the other intersectional points that they want to advance on.
Somehow, despite all these issues and lack of time and quality control, they still had enough time to focus on the censorship of the season. And I think this is a very big concern for one massive reason, that there is actual resources and dedicated time being put towards anime like One Punch Man to censor it and sanitize it. One Punch Man is a series meant for adults. It is, okay? That it's its demographic. And the fact that it's being sanitized to this degree, like, you can't even just say it's female characters being covered up, but you have stuff like this, says enough about the priorities of the project. And this is just something that has become very inherently obvious, because there's not a lot else you could really talk about when it comes to Season 3, besides horrendous art and animation and just the destruction of the story. The censorship is just very blatant and very obvious, and it's not something that you can really just ignore. Like, for instance, this is something you just can't ignore with how awful this censorship is.
And this is why. So anime, I'm sure, obviously manga has gotten exponentially more popular, right? We know that we have numbers to back this up. Manga has gotten exponentially more popular over the years. It has dwarfed American comics. People are buying more. Barnes & Noble and all the regular retailers are selling more. But anime is still a lot easier to consume. So even though there's been a rise in manga, there's been an equally, if not even larger, rise in the consumption of anime. So you've got a lot of people in the anime scene that don't read manga, that don't even know that censorship's happening. Like, how would you know this was censored unless you read the manga, right? There's no way of knowing. So they can get away with these levels of censorship because they think that there's a massive audience that is not going to even, which is true. The reason they think that, they think correctly. There's going to be a massive audience that doesn't even know about the censorship because they have no frame of reference.
I think this is a very big detail here, that this is a warning on how anime is being treated by these companies, these Western companies that are getting more and more involved with anime production. Don't believe me? I want to just get right into it. We all know that Crunchyroll is heavily involved with anime production. As much as we want to hate Crunchyroll or dislike them, whatever, they are involved with production.
And it's a net negative. And I do hate Crunchyroll, specifically for that. Crunchyroll should not be involved in anime production in any way, shape, shape, or form. Crunchyroll should just be a fucking platform that the original creators throw their shit up on, right? They license it out, they make these deals. Hey, do we want to give it to Crunchyroll? Do we want to give it to Netflix? Do we want to give it to Amazon? Whatnot. We give it to the bidders, the win the bidding war, this, that, and the other. Okay? That's all Crunchyroll should be doing. There is no reason on God's green earth that a Western company should be involved in the production of these Japanese cartoons. And I keep saying Japanese cartoons because I know it's going to piss a lot of people off. Anime's not a cartoon. By definition, it fucking is. And it's so funny to see people spurg when I say that because I'm an asshole.
Of a lot of different anime and certain things of how it's presented to a global audience. That's why their monopoly is so powerful.
Dude, I questioned that in the theater. I was like, why the fuck does Reza not have fucking nipples? It was so weird that she had, it's a rated R movie. Chainsaw Man was a rated R movie. Why'd the female character who was nude in the pool not have nipples? It literally took me out of the film. It's not like I was just gonna sit there and be like, ha, and just like start fucking jerking it in the theater. It was just a fucking retarded artistic choice.
And why it's scary, and why I don't like them having a monopoly. But because Crunchyroll has so much power, because they have so much weight in the anime sphere, they are probably able to make certain decisions on the ground floor, the cutting room floor of anime production, and tell a company, alongside of the production committee, to say, okay, you can't have this design showing too much skin, it might offend people in this so-and-so country. That is more or less what's going on here, and I feel like this is something that's becoming more and more common as these companies get involved. When you have Netflix getting involved, Disney getting involved, Crunchyroll getting involved, you get the point. And I feel like this is only going to get worse with time. And I think the only reason why it's just so noticeable here is because of just how bad One Punch Man Season 3 was, and how much it was put under a microscope.
Matt Stanford says, okay, let them be offended. Here's the problem with that. I mean, I agree with you, like, morally, on principle, I agree with you. But you got advertisers coming to the mix. Anime doesn't make money. Anime is a loss leader, right? Anime is a loss leader. It's there to sell merch. It's there to sell figures, t-shirts, the manga itself, body pillows, shit like that. So if you got advertisers to help offset the cost of anime being a loss leader, those advertisers, if they see shit like this and they deem it not advertiser friendly, they lose out on that money. So yeah, I agree with you on principle and on morals, let them be offended, but that's not how the people with the money up top think.
If it wasn't put under a microscope, the common person that watched Season 3 might not have realized this. But I think that in a way, in a very cosmic, poetic way, One Punch Man's downfall was the best thing that could have happened to a degree to expose how much censorship is being applied to anime. I want to reinforce this fact here. This is a fact. This is not even speculation. The fact of the matter is One Punch Man barely had time to have these episodes finished.
Bullshit. Bullshit. And I'm tired of that fucking argument. I am tired of that argument. When did One Punch Man Season 2 release? 2019. Motherfuckers, we are in 2025. We are in 2025. They have plenty of time. They have plenty of time. This is the failure of One Punch Man Season 3 is due to absolutely abysmal QA standards that are becoming the norm in the anime industry. They had 6 years to get that shit right. They probably didn't even begin to work on it until after 5 years had passed. I don't know, I'm guessing, but the point is, they could have allocated the proper resources. They could have allocated the teams to the right, departments. They could have done the licensing deals and whatnot. This was a choice. And it was a choice they made poorly. So no, it has nothing to do with them not having time. Chibi is wrong. This has everything to do with a failure of quality assurance standards being adhered to. And One Punch Man, while it's the most egregious mainstream example in a long while, it's not the only example. There's been plenty of other anime and frankly video games as well that have had this exact shortcoming.
But somehow, despite the lack of time, there was priority put into all this censorship. that was a priority for these individual episodes to come out. They focused on completely changing designs. Like, hell, you don't believe me? Here's a very good example. I'll pull up. Let me actually find it here. This one. This is the opening. The top left right there is the opening we got of episode 1 of One Punch Man Season 3. And obviously, Season 3 was met with a lot of issues. Like, nobody liked episode 1, okay? But we had no idea how bad it was going to get. The point is
it's not greed. It's greed. They want to put the money in the process to make them good, only enough to pass. It's not a greed thing. It is a. I mean, to be fair, let me rephrase, because greed is a part of it, I'm sure. But more than anything, it is a standardization thing, right? It is the idea that if we can, is quality over, or is quantity over quality. Again, you've got the global standards, or the changing these global standards of the censorship. You've got to put the work into that. They are prioritizing completely incorrectly. Like, if they had the money and they had the funding to do all this censorship, then they have the money and the funding and the time to not make the animation look like absolute dog ass. Because you still got to spend the money to change and edit and do the censoring. So money's being spent either way. So greed isn't the main component. It is the failure of standardization. It is the failure, the failures due to globalization. It is the failure to put quality of what the fans want above what would be the most acceptable when it comes to the global standards. Anjuna Main coming in with a 5-banger. It is a Shiba Inu doing karate. Shout out. Thank you so much, Anjuna.
That in episode 1, you had this in the opening song where she was uncensored. Episode 2 comes out fully censored. And it's very clear that there was a sweeping censorship rollout after that. There was just everything being touched up, censored, removed, whatever. And I legitimately speculate, you want my hard speculation here? Like, obviously there's no evidence to support this one. But my speculation here is that the entirety of the season was actually meant to be uncensored. But there was someone at the top, Bandai Namco or whoever, that called in and was like, you can't allow this. We can't allow this skin to be shown. You gotta censor that. You gotta censor that right now. I feel like that's something that happened. And this makes me so angry for a variety of reasons, that was the main priority that the head honchos had over anything else. Instead of delaying the series, instead of pushing it off for months or whatever, or making a better product, they were more concerned with a character showing a little bit of leg skin.
Correct.
That was the concern. That was the priority for the production of this series. And once again, you might say, this isn't a big deal. Why does this matter? Who cares? They cared enough to censor it. They cared enough to dedicate resources to censoring not just this character, but so many different scenes. A character even smoking. They cared enough to censor that. That's a concern. So, all I'm trying to say here with this video, I'm trying to put out there right now that there is definitely an active push to censor anime from within on the beginning stages. Like, we're not even talking about, like, you know, censorship of putting a black bar over a character. We're talking about when the character is in its inception stages, being built and constructed, like, upon its first episodes being prioritized, storyboarded, or whatever. You have the involvement of the production committee or these Western companies getting involved and wanting stuff censored. That is one.
No, Chibi, stop. Fucking stop. And I'm tired of motherfuckers doing this. It is not just these Western companies. Like, yes, blame them. Absolutely, blame them. But they are not the only ones to be blamed. And I am so tired of these fucking weebs and otakus and motherfuckers that, like, they love Japan. Japan can do no wrong. Full fucking stop. Japan is agreeing to this shit. This is happening over there as well. And I say it all the time. They are not immune to it. They're not some perfect fucking utopia. Japan said, oh, you'll give us money? You'll give us money. Oh, we censor you. Like, that's what's fucking happening. Japan decided to do what Hollywood did, what the comics industry did, what the music industry did, what all these other industries have fucking done, and say, we will sell out our artistic integrity because you'll give us a little bit more money via BlackRock, via State Street, via the DEI investment firms in Japan, via orders from the World Economic Forum who's bankrolling all of this. So yeah, don't just blame these Western companies. Don't just blame Crunchyroll. Blame the money man at the top in Japan who are also letting this happen, which is why I've had so many Japanese artists speak out about this. And I've covered that time and time again. Japanese creators in gaming and manga and anime, Japanese artists throughout several of these mediums have talked about how they are being put under restrictions and forces to change their art by their own staff. It's not just the West. Blame the fucking oh-so-perfect Japanese for allowing this to happen. Because at the end of the day, this is their product, this is their art. They would have final say, but they're letting the money speak louder.
100% what is going on. And I truly fear that this isn't going to stop just at anime. This is going to eventually, its tendrils are going to spread into manga. To where an author that wants to write a manga, let's say in Weekly Shonen Jump, with a little bit more risque, spicy content, is not going to be allowed because of Western influence. And hell, we're already seeing this. We are already seeing this. You have lack of any form of fan service that was technically a staple within shonen slowly being pushed out. It's there, but definitely nowhere like it was in the 2010s or prior to that. There is definitely an
Now, that being said, I'm okay with shonen being pushed out, bro. Most shonen nowadays fucking blows. Give us some other shit. Give us the sci-fi. Give us the slice of life. All right? Give us these other stories, man. I just finished touring After the Apocalypse last night. Beautiful. Beautiful. Favorite anime of the season. Oh, touring After the Apocalypse is so good. Give us more romance. I'm not saying, like, nix shonen altogether. Not, like, there will always be a place for shonen. But, guys, there's other fucking, there's other genres out there. Shonen's not really a genre, it's a demographic. But colloquially, the way we speak about it, it may as well be a fucking genre. So there's other genres out there that I think need some love. Give us more of that.
Active push within the industry from Western influence pushing censorship on characters, saying you cannot do that. And it concerns me. I feel like this whole One Punch Man situation is a canary in a coal mine that is a warning. And if we do not listen to this and make more people aware of this situation, it's only going to get worse.
Correct. It will. Even if, and again, this is going to sound black-pilled, and I'm not trying to be black-pilled or sound black-pilled, because I do believe in the light at the end of the tunnel. We've been seeing massive gains here in the West when it comes to a return to normalcy. I don't doubt we'll see them in Japan as well, but it's going to take time. It's going to take lots of content and stuff like this. It's going to take changes in the money flow. But I also don't know that it will work out the exact same. Japan is a completely different culture. That might not go back to the same. Or it might happen faster than it did here in the West. Because I think that everybody can agree that we are more or less on a course correction. Right? Here in America. Movies nowadays, they are getting less propaganda-oriented. Now, it's not gone. And that doesn't mean the movies are good. We still got some dog shit writing to contend with. But by and large, the compare like the quote-unquote, woke propaganda of the movies we've gotten recently to what we were getting in like 2016 through 2020, it's notably less. We got video games like Expedition 33 coming out and crushing it. And we've got indie games blowing AAA out of the water. Why? Because people are just making what they want to make, and the market is responding. With Lara Croft, bro, Lara Croft is coming back, and she looked like a hottie with a body. There is correction happening. So I don't doubt for a moment that we will see this correction in the West, in the East as well. But I do think that as it currently stands, things are going to get worse before they get better. And we need to do everything we can to minimize that and to mitigate that if we can. But yeah, I think things are going to get worse before they get better.
Should not allow these companies like Bandai Namco and the production committee to allow this to happen. The reason anime was popular, became popular, was because of how risque and different it was. But when you sanitize the medium, you sanitize the media to the point to where it no longer is what it once was. What's the point anymore? It's no longer why people got into it in the first place. The same thing that happened to the gaming industry and Hollywood is now happening to anime. And as much as you want to scream and act like it's not happening, it is happening.
I'm glad he actually admits that much. Like Chibi is correct. I'm glad he admits that much. He needs to put more of a blame on Japan and not just the West. He does.
This is a very good example of that. And before you say to me, Chibi, there has always been censorship for anime. Yes, you are correct. However, you have to remember something. It's a very big detail that people will leave out for this conversation. Most of the time when anime was censored, like in the 2010s or prior, it had black bars or Steam or whatever put on characters.
Nah, I mean, yes, he's right, but it goes beyond that. The reason anime was censored so much in the 90s, the mid-2000s, whatnot, it wasn't even the type of censorship, it was the reason. Now, again, there's no good reason for censorship, right? I'm against it. But you have to acknowledge that the reason was different, even if you still disagree with it. Back in the 90s, the 2000s, who was running anime? Fucking Cartoon Network on Toonami, Disney, shit like that. There was this incorrect viewpoint that anime was just another cartoon for kids, and so they had to take this what was supposedly child friendly, and change it to fit Western child sensibilities. Like when 4Kids got One Piece, when 4Kids got the license for One Piece back in the really early 2000s, they didn't even want it. Because it was too adult. It was too violent. It would require too much censorship. However, One Piece came as a package deal with several other anime they did want. So, 4Kids went into overdrive censoring One Piece. Because there was this belief that just, anime is for kids or whatever. Also, they believe that there was massive changes in terms of while localization nowadays is shit for political propaganda purposes, localization was shit back then. Jelly donut, anybody? Because they didn't think that people would understand the more intrinsic Japanese aspects. So while the censorship was happening, it was happening for a different reason. It was to make it more palatable to a younger audience and to make the content more westernized. The censorship we're getting now, it's censoring shit that's we all know is for adults, and even the distributors and the people running it and Crunchyroll know is for adults. And the localization obviously is being done for propaganda purposes. So yeah, while we've always had censorship, the censorship was different and the reasoning behind it was different. Neither are good, but what we're dealing with now, in my opinion, is far more nefarious.
Characters, or the blood was shifted around.
Yes, they did get Escaflowne.
But then when a Blu-ray version came out, everything was uncensored. Basically, in the drawing and animation and storyboarding stages of anime, it was entirely uncensored. But for TV broadcasting reasons, they just...
Dude, Tenchi Muyo was one of the... I had no idea as a kid, because I loved Tenchi Muyo growing up, bro. I had no idea as a kid what Tenchi Muyo really was. Because it was so... It's basically an entirely different anime.
Put black bars or something over it. But when it came out for actual official release on a disc, you could watch the entirety of the series how it was intended, uncensored. But anime now...
And that's how I'm going to do Yandere Dark Elf. Yandere Dark Elf will be uncensored when it releases on Blu-ray, and maybe it's already released on Blu-ray, not sure. I ain't watching that shit censored. That, Yandere Dark Elf is the sort of gooner show that you watch for the gooning. I ain't watching that shit censored. What's the point of watching that censored? It's literally a gooner show. So yeah, it's already been announced that the Blu-ray version will be uncensored. I don't know if it's been released or not. It's been a while since I've looked into it. But when I get my hands on it, yeah, that's the version I'm watching. I want that gooner shit.
Especially in the last 5 years, since anime started becoming more popular, it gets censored on the storyboard stages, to where entire character designs are changed, to where they're not even what they're supposed to be. And so correcting those in Blu-rays is just not feasible, not really possible, or really worth the time and effort because they've already done so much changes. Changing it back to a version that's acceptable is not what they're really going to do when they're already pressed for time and working on their next.
Censorship was different back then. My Wii friend swears Digimon Adventure 1 is completely different than the sub version compared to the iconic dub. I don't know about Digimon Adventure 1, but Sonic X is. Sonic X, which was already for kids in Japan. Watch Sonic X in Japanese and compare it to the English dub. Holy fuck, it is so much darker and more mature, even though it's still a kids show in the Japanese dub of Sonic X.
Project. So what I'm getting here is that the format of censorship has changed for anime. It's no longer censored just for TV broadcasting reasons. It's censored from the very inception of its creation, to where you cannot fix it as easily. That's the point I'm getting at. And if people don't speak up about this and continue to mention how awful this really is, it will get worse. It will. I have been talking about this for a very long time, but I feel like One Punch Man really is an indication on how bad it's getting, and it is becoming the next Hollywood and the next gaming industry if we do not speak up about this. There is a lot of bad actors latching on to anime and manga to use it as agenda purposes, narrative driven, to be able to spread whatever they want. And
I wish Chibi would actually go down the rabbit hole of how far this really goes. Like, I've never... Because, let's be real. He's got a way larger voice than I do. Right? Chibi's far more successful, way more views. He's actually got fucking Japanese politicians following him on X and shit. Like, he could be a voice... He's not that he's a voice... Not that he's not a voice for good now. Obviously, he is a voice for good. He does a lot of good stuff. But he never goes all the way with it. Like Chibi. I don't know if you ever watched my videos or whatnot. I know that... I mean, we've tagged on X and whatnot. Dude, I'm going to tag you on this when I release it. I'm releasing this as a clip. This is tomorrow's video. The reaction to this is going to be tomorrow's clip. I'm going to tag your ass in it. You need to look further into this. Because while what you're saying is true, while what you're saying is correct, you've not done enough research. Alright? Watch some of my videos. Or just fucking message me, DM me, and I'll give you the sources. This goes back to Japanese DEI investment firms, which are being invested in by BlackRock and State Street. And who doles out the cash for that? The World Economic Forum. This goes so much deeper. Like, he realizes that there's agenda-driven purposes behind this. But if he does know how deep it goes, he never talks about it in the videos. Maybe it's because he doesn't want to look tinfoil hatty like Alex Jones or whatnot. But that is the truth of the matter, and it needs to be driven home how insane this is on all fronts, on all levels, because this is a global issue. Why is it a global issue? This is an issue that we must face the globalists on, an absolute globalist agenda.
I don't like this. As someone that's been talking about anime for way over a decade and a half at this point, I do not like seeing stuff like this happen to series I love, to series that, like holds a special place in my heart. A community and an industry that, is so different from everything else around the world being sanitized and distorted to what isn't anymore. I don't like seeing that. And so that is why I speak up about this. There is a lot of people that don't like me speaking about this. They actually straight up would blacklist me or never want to talk with me because I dare mention stuff like this. But I will continue to speak up about this because it is important. I don't like seeing creators' works being destroyed and removed and censored or whatever. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful not just to these writers and artists or the fans, but it's also disrespectful to just art as a whole. As freedom of expression within art.
Well, it's disrespectful to the fans as well. Like, yes, it's disrespectful to the artists. It's disrespectful to creators. It's disrespectful to the fans for infantilizing us, thinking that, oh, you can't handle it as is. We know what's best for you. We're gonna make these changes. Again, this is the fucking the parent state in full effect. This is the mommy state in full effect. And again, there's no other conclusion you can logically come to beyond this is to force a societal change on a global scale, right? Because even if you were to look at the financial aspect, like the ad revenue and whatnot, and whether or not it's advertiser friendly, Well, it's only deemed not advertiser friendly because the globalists have gotten their clutches in the advertisers saying, oh, this shit's bad. Oh, you're going to get a lot of angry letters if you advertise in front of XYZ thing here. You don't want that, do you? That'll hurt your business. We're not going to invest in you. Look, sorry, Coca-Cola. We aren't going to invest in you unless you don't run ads for One Punch Man, unless One Punch Man is censored. Like, it is a fucking Ouroboros that is always eating itself.
In creation. I think it's horrendous to do this, and it is absolutely awful. And as I've always said, just because you're fine with some censorship here doesn't mean censorship won't eventually hit you. It's a domino effect. You open that door, it will hit you. That's how it is. I'll leave it at that, though. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. Helps me out a lot. Chibi out.
Yeah, shout out. Great video. Again, I wish he'd gone harder, but great video. Go ahead and link it to you guys in the chat below. At the end of the day, the censorship in Japan, and really just, yeah, I was gonna say in anime, but in Japan is even better, because video games are another massive example of this. It's only going to get worse. And it's crazy. It's funny, because Chibi is sort of speaking out two sides of his mouth. Because remember, a few weeks ago, we reacted to his video stating that, oh, Japan's fighting back. We're going to get less censorship in anime because of this new bill, even though it wasn't a bill. And I had to do the reaction video to be the bearer of bad news because it wasn't just Chibi. It was a lot of folk. Asmongold, Chibi, a lot of people saw that press release talking about the changes being proposed to the in the Japanese house or whatever about the authenticity of Japanese works. And nobody actually decided, besides me, I'm the only one that actually looked into what changes were being mandated, how it was happening, the fact that it wasn't a bill, it wasn't legislation, it wasn't being voted on, and there was no indication that anything would actually change. Like, the idea that you can say in a video just a few weeks ago, oh, this is going to be so great, censorship's coming to an end, the Japanese are fighting back, but then make this and exclusively blame the West and not blame Japan for their hand in this and taking the money. I find it to be... I don't think it's disingenuous. I don't think Chibi is disingenuous. I think he's ill-informed. I think that 70% of what he's saying is bang on correct. He is right, and he is fighting the good fight. But he has not dove into this enough. He's not done enough of the research and how far this rabbit hole goes. And I think because of that, the news suffers because it's not being reported fully and accurately, and maybe even gives people, you know, like false senses of hope or a false sense of who the enemy is. And that being said, yeah, we'll definitely clip this into tomorrow's segment because it was a great video and it led to a great conversation. These are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X. You can find me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about anime, but video games, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check us out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles you go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos we react to on the Friday live streams, and of course get involved with over 250 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further because we do care about diversity. And one kind of diversity of thought. That means anything to you. Join the Discord, subscribe. Until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.